Your number one quarterback in the 2022 NFL draft quarterback class is
Matt Corral, Ole Miss. Oh, yeah, baby.
So I've been getting a fair amount of comments saying that we should start Baker this year and let Matt Corral learn from the bench for a year or two, and then he'll be our quarterback of the future. And while I don't necessarily think these people are wrong, well, I guess I do because I disagree with it, but I don't think people who believe that are ridiculous or dumb. Like, I think they come from a good place when they say it. But the reason I disagree is, if you have a quarterback who has any kind of talent, I think you should put him in right away. So if Matt Corral comes out in training camp, he shows that have any kind of ability or promise that you think he can be a franchise quarterback going forward, you start him. And I believe that because I don't think there's any real benefit to sitting a quarterback if you believe he has any kind of real talent. And I think that because they're going to have to learn at some point. They're going to have to get adjusted to the speed of the NFL game, to the speed of NFL pass rushers and NFL defenders, cornerbacks and safeties. They're going to have to build rapport with their receivers. They're going to have to, take hits from NFL defenders. Might as well do all those things while the team is still building. If the Panthers are ready to win right now, then I would say for sure start Baker, because at least you kind of know what you have in Baker. If the team are ready to win right now, start Baker, sit Matt Corral, and then go that way. But I don't believe the Panthers are ready to win right now. I don't think they're ready to contend for a playoff spot right now. So with that being the case, or with me believing that being the case, I'm okay starting Corral if he shows that have any kind of promise in training camp. Start him this year. Let him learn with the team. Let him grow and progress with the team. Because he might as well take his lumps now. He might as well build rapport with his receivers now. He might as well take hits for the first time from NFL defenders now. He might as well get to face NFL pressure now and get used to those things now, instead of in a year or two when the team is actually ready to compete and ready to win. And then he has to get used to those things. Then he has to learn what it's like to get hit by NFL defensive end or to face interior pressure from NFL D tackles. You don't want him learning those things while the team is actually ready to compete. You want him learning those things right now when you're not actually expecting much from the team. Or I guess if you're not expecting much from the team, which I'm not this year. I don't think the Panthers are going to contend for a playoff spot this year. Now, I'm open to being surprised, pleasantly surprised, but I don't expect it. So if Matt Corral comes out in training camp and he shows he can be your quarterback of the future, I'm all for putting him out there, letting him learn. Now, a lot of people will say, look at all the quarterbacks who started right away and their careers went down the drain. My rebuttal to that would be, look at all the quarterbacks who, sat on the bench for a couple of years and then turned out to not be anything. I think you'd be hard pressed to find quarterbacks who sat for a couple of years and turned out to have good careers. In recent history, you have Patrick Mahomes, who sat for a year, and then Aaron Rodgers. Kirk Cousins sat behind RG3 for a couple of years. But if Matt Corral's ceiling is Kirk Cousins, I think people might be a little disappointed. Although for a third round pick, if you become Kirk Cousins, that's actually a really good career. But if you think he's like a franchise quarterback, you don't want his ceiling to be Kirk Cousins. So I'm all for throwing him out there, letting him learn on the job. If he fails, I don't think it'll be because you started him his rookie year. Unless he just goes out there and gets just blasted to hell. He just takes all these hits and gets super injured. But for the most part, you can't predict injuries. Injuries just happen. Having a really bad offensive line may lead to more hits, which then can lead to maybe being injured more often. But largely, injuries are unpredictable, and they kind of just happen. I had a comment saying that, Odell got hurt last year trying to make a tackle off an interception that Baker threw. You can't blame Baker for Odell getting hurt, even though Baker threw the interception and Odell got hurt trying to make the tackle. That stuff is just unpredictable. It happens. You can't blame Baker for that. You can kind of blame an offensive line for a quarterback getting hurt if they get hit a lot. But a quarterback can have a great offensive line and take one hit and still be gone for the season. That's just the nature of the game. That kind of stuff happens. So I'm not against starting Corral as a rookie if he shows real promise. If he shows he can go out there and affect the game in a positive way, and he shows the talent that I think he has to possibly be a franchise quarterback. If he shows those things, start him over Baker. I don't care. You're only paying Baker $4 million. You don't trade the 5th round pick for him. Make him the backup. Start Corral. Let him take his lumps this year as a rookie. Then, a year or two from now, when the team's actually ready to compete and actually ready to win some games, then you put in Corral, or then Corral's already been starting for a couple of years. He has some experience. He's still fairly cheap on a rookie deal, and you can go from there. But if you wait a couple of years, and then you put in Corral, and then maybe find out that he can't take the speed of an NFL game. He can't take hits from NFL defenders. Now you've already invested a couple of years into him, like waiting for him to develop. The team was a little further along, ready to win now, and you have a quarterback who you don't think can take you there, and he's further along in his rookie contract. So it just doesn't make sense to me, if he actually shows promise, to not start him right away. I think it's better to let him learn on the job, trial by fire, iron sharpens iron, whatever cliche saying you want to use. I just think it's better for Matt Corral to put him in and let him play, if he shows promise. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. And while you're down there, please consider hitting that subscribe button. I would appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in the next one.